My name is David Lewis. I was in the Army Reserves for 8.5 years. My training in the Army was as a combat medic. I wanted the educational benefits. I was a sergeant when I got out. I did my basic training in Fort Dix, New Jersey. It was 12 weeks long. It was boot camp. It wasn't that hard. It wasn't that easy. It was a little bit trying, but it was easy enough to go through. I was actually on a split enlistment. So basically what that means is that I went to do my basic training between my junior and senior year of high school. And then between my senior year of high school and my first year of college, I did my advanced training. My advanced training was down in Fort Sam Houston, Texas, in combat medic school. It was nice to be able to have all of that done before my college started. So from that side of things, it was very nice to be able to look back at it and say, okay, once I reached college, I didn't have to go do anything special. Just my 2 weeks every year and my 1 week of drills every month. So it was actually pretty easy. My first job after activation, I was activated for Desert Storm. And our wartime mission at that point in time was for us to go down to Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and take over the hospital there. The personnel that was in the hospital there went over to Germany and took over the hospital in Germany, and then the group of people that was in Germany went into the field. Basically from there, the wartime duties of everybody was to backfill. So if they needed someone for the field, they would take them from Germany. If Germany didn't have them, they would take them from us. There were a dozen people taken out of my unit, were combat medics, and were reassigned. About half of them to Germany and the other half went into the field. I was not one of those. So I was stationed in Fort Sam Houston, Texas for 3 months. My first job down there was as an ambulance driver. Well, when I was in, let's see, basic training, I guess the highlight was probably going to the range and shooting. I liked doing that. It was a lot of fun. AIT, I had a lot of fun in AIT. That was a lot more open. For the first 2 weeks, we weren't allowed to go anywhere. But after that 2 weeks was over, then we were given liberty, which is basically free time to do what we wanted to, especially on the weekends. So I was in San Antonio, so San Antonio was a blast. It's a really fun town to be in. We used to go out on the weekends all the time and have a good time with all the people that we were down there with. It was a lot of fun to go down the river walk and do that kind of stuff. And it was hot, but we had a good time there. When I was activated for Desert Storm, during ambulance duty, I did come across a guy that had a heart attack when we were loading him into the ambulance, and we took him out and started the whole CPR thing on him, and basically he lives, so I don't know what happened to him after that, but it's about the only thing that I can say as far as my experience is concerned. I actually received 3 accommodations while I was in the Army. I did not receive an accommodation for that because I asked them not to. One of the things that one of the guys that was actually in my dorm, we had 8 people to a room, and one of the guys that was in my room was really into workouts and stuff. He had challenged the captain to a push-up contest. He beat him, I think, 208 to 195. Way more push-ups than I can do. No. And the necessity was there, but that's the reason why when we were done with that particular mission, when we came back back home, they actually disbanded my unit because they figured that it wasn't necessary for us to be there for that role anymore. No. I still have the skills as far as my training is concerned as being a combat medic. Something were to come up, I know how to take care of someone in that capacity. I did not need those skills to do orthotics and prosthetics. But I guess probably the biggest skill, or not necessarily skill, but the biggest advantage coming out of that is that when you go to an employer to apply for a job and you have military experience, that weighs heavily in your favor, in most cases. It shows you a lot of discipline, learning how to react to others, listening to orders, and basically, being with other people. There was a lot of people when I was in basic training that, basically everybody in my basic training was from all over the country. We had people who were from the East Coast, West Coast, down south, and you don't realize how different things are in other parts of the country until you get together with people that are from all those parts of the country, and sit down and talk and relate to them. I think that's probably the big thing for me is that it was a lot easier to relate to others and to respect where they were coming from. When I went to AIT, that was a lot more fun. We worked hard. My advanced training was in Fort Sam Houston as well, and so and it was summertime. And if you've ever been in Texas in the summertime, you would know how hot it can be. Most of our days, the temperature was easily 100 degrees on base. So we had to end up getting up at right around 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning to go out and do our morning runs before breakfast, because you didn't want to wait until the sun came up in order to go do your running around. And then, so most of our training in the classroom was done in the midday so that we were out of the sun. And then any extra training we had was usually after dinner, which usually really didn't amount to much. But I met some very good people when I was in advanced training, and I had a lot of fun because my best friend was there with me. So. Yeah, you had to keep your room clean. Everything in your room had to be in order. You had very little space that was your personal space, and even your personal space still had to be in order. So shoes had to be shined. Your uniforms had to be pressed. Bed had to be made when you weren't in it. The floor needed to be spotless. Bathrooms needed to be spotless. Basically, everything had to be perfect. They hand out medals for the simplest of things. Completing my first 6 years, my first tour, basically, if you will, you got a medal for it. Okay. I got a medal for Desert Storm. I also got one for taking charge of the training in my unit. I don't know, maybe. I wouldn't have, it's not like I would have really mattered. Go where they tell you to go. It wouldn't have bothered me if they would have told me I had to go into combat. I guess it really wouldn't have bothered me either. That was my job. Yeah, like I said, it's those experiences that you get that obviously make your life more different. And I think without that experience, I think it would have been different. I don't know, better or worse. I don't know. I can't really say either way.